Hey YouTube, Ryo here. Uh, I've been talking with some people about Pokemon Go and the changes that they would like to go ahead and see. And I mean, I'm willing to still have that conversation. I mean, I played Pokemon Go when it first launched, and I've played it up until recently, so I can still kind of relate to people. Um, a lot of people that played Pokemon Go initially and don't play anymore have been saying the same thing. If they were to bring back some type of tracking, like even if it's an alternative tracking scheme, they don't mind the current tracking scheme staying. But if they were to bring back a tracking scheme similar to the old one, they actually preferred that tracking scheme where they actually had to get out and go and explore, and it wasn't a go here, go there tracking system. And there's a lot of people, when I bring up that the new tracking system isn't what we wanted, that the original tracking system was definitely the thing that the vast majority of people wanted. A lot of people are all like, oh, there you are, you're projecting your wants onto everyone else. And that's not the case. I mean, if you look at the bleed off for consistent Pokemon Go players, where do you have people still playing? You have them playing in big cities. Rural areas have become basically dead zones. And if anyone wants to argue with me on that, go out to a rural area. See what Pokemon are spawning out there, since Pokemon spawns are generated off of activity. Go ahead. And I'm saying this to those same people because these are also the same people that are saying that people living in rural areas shouldn't bitch and complain about traveling out to cities or to traveling to other countries, whatever, because the game's meant to get people up and out and traveling. Well, if that's the case, why would you have such a hard time if the Pokemon spawns were to, if the rarer Pokemon spawns were to be in rural areas where less people play? I mean, if it's rarer to, see these Pokemon, shouldn't you say, hey, yeah, these Pokemon are rare spawns. They should be spawning out in areas where people actually have to travel, if that's really the case. Now, and I'm talking about Pokemon like Scyther and uh, hell, even like even Pokemon like Geodude. You shouldn't be able to catch those really in the city. You should have to go out to those outlying areas to capture those Pokemon. Those aren't city dwelling Pokemon. Um, I mean, I can see Venonat. All right, understandable. Venomoth, again, understandable. Rattata and Raticate, awesome. Hell, even Pokemon like Chansey. When they end up getting up to the point of it, Pidove, Pikachu, Grimer and Muck, Trubbish. I mean, there's a whole bunch of Pokemon that would definitely be a good fit for spawning in a city area. But when you've got pretty much every Pokemon other than region exclusives spawning in the big cities, and then you've got basically Rattata and Pidgey spawning in the rural areas and not really a whole lot else. I mean, around here, in northern America, the northern part of northern America, you're getting Tauros. Well, at that point, it's, and Tauros spawn inside of cities. I've seen them spawn inside of fairly large cities. And so at that point, you have to ask yourself, how genuine is your argument if you're one of these people? I mean, in all honesty, I mean, you're sitting there and complaining that you would have to travel while saying that rural players are being crybabies for complaining about having to travel. Do you not see the irony? And the thing is when I bring this up, these people are all like, oh, no, I'm not complaining about it. I wouldn't have a problem with it. Well, you're having a problem with someone just suggesting it, fucker. I mean, honestly, that's the long and the short of this. You are having problems with someone even suggesting it. Someone who doesn't have any real say in the matter. And yet you're feeling the need to jump that person. It's very telling. Now, I'm not one of these people that thinks that people that live in big cities shouldn't get any events or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is, like, let's say with legendary events, like with Articuno, perfect example. Articuno, they should go ahead and they should pick mountainous areas and have the event there. I mean, if the game's meant to get people up and out and traveling around, then it shouldn't be a problem to have people travel up to a snowy mountain area for a Pokemon that's basically a winter god to spawn. Mewtwo can go ahead and spawn in a big city. That makes perfect sense. But it had better be a city that is famous for having a science lab that works with genetic modification of some kind. Moltres. Bring them up to a dead mountain. You know, up to a dead volcano. We got two of them up here near where I live. We got Mount Lassen and Mount Shasta. Take your pick. I would say Mount Lassen because it also has a national park. Great way of getting people out and exploring, right? Seeing the wonders of nature while catching some Pokemon. Oh, but as soon as you suggest that, all of a sudden the people from the big city, well, I can't take the time off work. Neither can the rural people. We have bills too. And I'm not even necessarily a rural player. I actually live in a city. But I live in a city that is surrounded by rural area. And it frustrates me. Because that hypocrisy from these people that live in these major cities, that sense of entitlement, pisses me the hell off. The complete and total unwillingness to even acknowledge that other people are really getting the shaft. They're getting a very unfair shake at this. It's so self-centered. And it's people like that I really wish hadn't been pulled into Pokemon. We already had enough toxicity with a choice few of the big voices in the Pokemon community. And now we have so many more. Now we have this absolute elitism that's going on. And it's bled over into the main games, into the main community. There are a lot of people that are fans of Pokemon, but the thing is they're getting sick and tired of Pokemon Go because of the attitude that it's brought. Pokemon already had kind of an elite problem going on with Japan getting the vast majority of the events. At least the noteworthy ones. That weren't just a special Pikachu. Or, you know, they would also get the worldwide events as well. But then they would get their own. They would get legendaries released that only they could get. I don't remember any legendaries only releasing in America. I don't remember any legendaries only releasing in Australia or only releasing in even China. So we've already had a big issue with that, and this is just ripping that wound open even more. And it's infecting it with people who haven't been fans of the series, who are coming in with this elite attitude, thinking that if you have money, then you should have it all. That no one else should have a chance at it. Just one more thing for them to go ahead, put on their mantelpiece to show some level of superiority. Why? It's a fucking game. It's a fucking game that's primarily targeted at kids. That doesn't mean that the user base doesn't vary in age. But the fact of the matter is it is primarily targeted at kids. Now, Pokemon Go is a little bit of a different story because it says that you have to get up and get out. It's targeted more at families. Now, like I said in my Niantic Spawn hypocrisy video, if they're going to go ahead and say that certain Pokemon are supposed to spawn more commonly in certain areas, then they need to apply it equally. And as far as if they're really going to stick with this whole mantra of, well, Pokemon Go was meant to get people out and exploring the world, then stop focusing Pokemon in specific areas. Make people actually have to go out and travel. Stop pandering. And these same people who are sitting here and saying, well, that's what the game was initially meant for. Fine. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. And it was doing a really good job of it. Until Niantic fucked it up. Until Niantic decided to take out the exploration part in favor of making it easier on people who have hundreds of Pokestops where they live. Cut the crap. I'm so sick and tired of people trying to argue in favor of Niantic on this when Niantic is blatantly, demonstrably in the wrong. Gaming, for the most part, has been a very tight-knit community up until recently. And now we're starting to see it slowly falling apart because of this elitism that's happening. It's not just in Pokemon. It's a major problem with gaming in general. But Pokemon exemplifies it. If you want to know what's going on... One second. Sorry about that. Fire truck going by. I'm pretty sure you guys didn't want to hear that. But like I was saying, Pokemon exemplifies this rift that we've suddenly had. And it's a really good case study at it. I mean, I might have to actually go ahead and take a look in it. Go ahead and actually maybe get some screenshots and actually do some video work. Yay. But the thing is I've noticed that it has been a lot more demeaning shit talk as opposed to, friendly ribbing or even just your standard shit talk. I mean, literally people, telling people to stop playing the game if they're not willing to go out and travel. Well, the thing is people aren't having a problem getting up off their couch, quote unquote. That's not the problem. The problem is having to travel such a far distance for a game. Having to expend so much money, so much time and effort for a video game. Now, to a degree, I can kind of see it. But the problem is Niantic is making this a game only for the rich. Only for the privileged. Only for those who have so much expendable income that they can afford to spend a few $1,000s. Not even on in-game items, but on travel costs. And that's sickening. Pokemon is meant to be accessible to everybody. That's one of the reasons why Pokemon Go wasn't a purchase game. I kind of wish that they had made Pokemon Go a purchase game. You know, cost $10, $9.99. Maybe then they would have actually gotten powerful enough servers to cover the influx of people that started playing the game. So they could have kept the original tracking system. But the fact of the matter is at this current point, Niantic's countered all of its own arguments. It doesn't even take me anymore. They're doing my work for me. They're calling themselves out with their own actions. And they're reaping the benefits of it. Except for the fact that it's not really benefits. They're costing themselves money hand over fist. It's their business. They can run it into the ground if they want. The only problem is now Nintendo, the Pokemon Company, they're not going to trust a third party with their IP. Not after all the hassle. Not with all the bad publicity that Pokemon Go has gotten them. And that sucks. And this is a message directly to Nintendo. Maybe next time, if you're going to go ahead and trust someone with an IP like Pokemon, make sure that at least a few people in that group that actually have a real say in it, that can actually enact changes, are actual fans of the series, and not someone just looking to milk your cash cow. Because that's exactly what happened with Niantic. I doubt that anyone there that's making any sort of decisions are actual fans of the Pokemon series. What they're fans of is cash grabs. And that's what Pokemon has basically become. And if I didn't know better, I'd say that Niantic's getting kickbacks from places that provide international travel. Because that's the only way that I can think that they would implement this game so poorly. Especially with the upcoming trading. Now, they may change their mind on it after seeing so many people finally just throwing up their hands and saying, fuck it, I'm done. But if the current hit to their numbers hasn't woken them up yet, I doubt anything will. They're probably just going to let this game run into the dirt. And I feel a little bit bad for the fanboys of this game. Well, fanboys and fangirls of this game. Because when the game finally goes down, they're going to sit there and they're going to try to blame everyone else for it, when it was really them who actually brought it down. By sitting there and telling Niantic not to listen to what the majority say, to pander to the minority, and to pander only to the privileged. Have a nice night, YouTube. Take care of yourselves. Be safe. And like I said in a previous video, fanboys and fangirls, time for you to sit down, shut the fuck up, and let the adults talk.